There is a strange and quiet knowledge that some people carry from the very beginning. It is not a knowledge of facts or formulas, not something learned in classrooms or inherited through bloodlines. It is something else entirely. It is a kind of inner knowing, a sense that the world is not quite as it appears, that beneath the surface of everyday life there runs a current of meaning that most people never feel. This knowing does not come with pride. It comes with confusion. It comes with loneliness. It comes with the burden of seeing things others do not see, feeling things others do not feel, and asking questions that have no easy answers. This is not a gift given to the special few. This is a psychological awakening that can happen to anyone at any time, in any life. It is the beginning of a journey that has been walked by mystics, poets, philosophers, and ordinary people throughout all of human history. It is a journey of the soul coming into awareness of itself. From childhood, there are those who feel different, not better, not chosen in any literal sense, just different. They stand at the edge of the playground and watch the others play, not out of arrogance, but out of a deep and inexplicable feeling that they are watching from somewhere else, somewhere outside the game. They feel too much. They notice too much. They are struck by beauty in ways that leave them breathless, and they are wounded by cruelty in ways that leave them silent. They see the world through a lens that magnifies both light and shadow, and they do not know why. They do not know that this sensitivity is not a flaw. They do not yet understand that what they are experiencing is the early stirring of a deeper consciousness, a consciousness that will one day ask them to walk a path that is not easy, but is profoundly meaningful. This feeling of difference often leads to isolation, not the isolation of being cast out, but the isolation of never quite fitting in. It is the isolation of sitting in a room full of people and feeling utterly alone. It is the isolation of laughing at jokes you do not find funny, nodding at opinions you do not share, and wearing masks that do not reflect who you truly are. This isolation is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the soul's way of carving out space for inner work. In solitude, the noise of the world fades, and the voice within can finally be heard. In solitude, the questions begin. Who am I? Why am I here? What is this life really about? These are not the questions of the arrogant. These are the questions of the seeker, the one who cannot live on the surface, the one who must dive deep even if it means diving alone. The ancient myths understood this. They told stories of heroes who were called away from their villages, away from the familiar, into the wilderness, into the unknown. These were not stories about being better than others. They were stories about the universal human journey from unconsciousness to consciousness, from ignorance to awareness, from sleep to awakening. The hero's journey is not about glory. It is about transformation. It is about facing the darkness within and emerging with new understanding. And it begins always with a call that feels like restlessness, a call that feels like longing, a call that feels like a whisper in the depths of the soul, saying, there is more. There is more. There is more. If you have felt this, if these words resonate with something deep inside you, then perhaps this is a space worth staying in, not because you are special, but because you are awake. And those who are awake need reminders, need mirrors, need voices that speak to the part of them that sees. Consider staying here, walking this path with others who understand. The call does not come with instructions. It comes with confusion. It comes with doubt. It comes with fear, because to answer the call means to leave behind the life you thought you were supposed to live. It means to stop pretending. It means to stop hiding. It means to stop numbing the pain and start feeling it, to stop running from the questions and start sitting with them, to stop seeking validation from the outside world and start seeking truth from inside. This is terrifying. This is why so many turn away. This is why the call is often refused at first. Because the known, even if it is painful, feels safer than the unknown. The familiar, even if it is suffocating, feels easier than the wilderness. But for those who cannot turn away, for those who are pulled forward by something stronger than fear, the journey begins. And it begins with trials. Not the trials of fantasy, not dragons and demons in the literal sense, but the trials of the inner world, the trials of facing your own darkness. The trials of sitting with your shame, your guilt, your anger, your grief. The trials of realizing that you are not as good as you thought you were, that you are capable of cruelty, of selfishness, of cowardice. This is a descent into the shadow, the part of yourself you have denied, the part you have hidden even from yourself. And this descent is necessary because you cannot integrate what you do not acknowledge. You cannot heal what you do not face. You cannot become whole while rejecting half of who you are. The shadow is not evil. The shadow is unconscious. It is the parts of you that were shamed, suppressed, exiled into the dark corners of your psyche because they were not acceptable, not safe, not welcome. But these parts do not disappear. They grow in the dark. They whisper. They sabotage. They leak out in ways you do not expect. And so the journey of awakening requires you to turn toward them, to shine light into the places you've been afraid to look, to meet the parts of yourself you have been running from. This is not easy. This is why the myths call it the underworld. This is why it feels like death. Because something does die. The false self dies. The image you built to protect yourself, to please others, to survive, it dies. And in its death, something truer is born. This process is often lonely because the world does not understand it. The world sees you pulling away, sees you questioning, sees you changing, and it does not know what to do with you. People who loved you may feel threatened. People who relied on your old self may feel abandoned. And you, in the midst of your own transformation, may feel like you are losing your mind. You may feel like you are falling apart. You may wonder if you made a mistake, if you should have just stayed asleep, just stayed comfortable, just stayed small. But there is no going back. Once you have seen, you cannot unsee. Once you have tasted truth, you cannot go back to the comfort of lies. And so you keep walking, even when the path is dark, even when you are alone, even when every part you want to turn around. Somewhere in this darkness, you begin to find something unexpected. You begin to find clarity, not the clarity of certainty, but the clarity of honesty. You begin to see yourself as you truly are, not as you wish you were, not as others told you to be, but as you actually are. And in that seeing, there is a strange kind of freedom, because you are no longer performing. You are no longer pretending. You are no longer exhausting yourself, trying to be something you are not. You are simply here, flawed and human and real. And in that realness, something shifts. You begin to feel compassion for yourself. You begin to forgive yourself. You begin to understand that you were always doing the best you could with the awareness you had. And if that is true for you, then it is true for everyone. And suddenly, the world softens. The judgment softens. The anger softens. You begin to see others not as obstacles or threats, but as fellow travelers, equally lost, equally struggling, equally human. This is a turning point. This is where the journey moves from destruction creation, from descent to ascent, from darkness to light. Not because the darkness disappears, but because you have learned to carry it. You have learned that light and dark are not opposites at war, but partners in a dance. You have learned that wholeness is not perfection, but integration. You have learned that strength is not the absence of weakness, but the willingness to be vulnerable. You have learned that wisdom is not the accumulation of knowledge, but the acceptance of mystery. And with these lessons, you begin to rebuild. Not the old life. That life is gone. But a new life. A life that is aligned with who you truly are, not who you were told to be. A life that is rooted in values, not expectations. A life that is guided by inner authority, not outer approval. This is what the ancients meant when they spoke of rebirth. This is what the mystics meant when they spoke of enlightenment. Not a final destination, not a permanent state of bliss, but a shift in consciousness. A shift from living on the surface to living from the depths. A shift from being driven by fear to being guided by love. A shift from seeking outside yourself to trusting what is inside. And this shift is available to everyone. It is not reserved for the special. It is not granted by fate. It is earned through awareness, through honesty, through courage, through the willingness to face yourself and grow. If you are still here, still listening, still feeling this, then you are already on this path. And this path is one you do not have to walk alone. There are others here, others who see, others who understand. Stay if it serves you. Stay if it helps you remember who you are. The knowledge you now carry is not new. It is ancient. It is a knowledge that has always lived in the hearts of those who question, those who seek, those who refuse to accept the world as it is presented. It is a knowledge that life is not random, that meaning is not imposed from above but discovered from within, that you are not a passive observer but an active participant in the unfolding of your own existence. This knowledge does not make you chosen. It makes you responsible. It makes you accountable. It makes you aware that every choice you make, every word you speak, every thought you think is shaping the reality you experience. And with that awareness comes power, but also humility. Because if you are creating your reality, then you cannot blame anyone else. You cannot play the victim. You cannot hide behind fate or luck or circumstance. You must own your life. You must take responsibility for your healing, for your growth, for your becoming. This is not easy. This is why so many resist it. This is why the call is often refused. Because responsibility is heavy. Because awareness is uncomfortable. Because once you see the truth, you cannot pretend anymore. You cannot numb anymore. You cannot distract anymore. You have to feel. You have to face. You have to choose. And choosing means letting go. Letting go of relationships that no longer serve you. Letting go of beliefs that no longer fit. Letting go of identities that were never really yours. Letting go of the need to be liked, to be understood, to be validated. Letting go of control. Letting go of certainty. Letting go of the illusion that you were ever safe, that you were ever in control, that you were ever anything other than a fragile, fleeting, beautiful human being trying to make sense of an infinite mystery. And in that letting go, there is grief. Deep, bone-aching grief. Grief for the life you thought you would live. Grief for the person you thought you would be. Grief for the time you lost, the people you hurt, the mistakes you made. This grief is sacred. This grief is necessary. Because it is the acknowledgement of what was, the honoring of what is lost, the opening of space for what is to come. You cannot move forward while clinging to the past. You cannot become who you are meant to be while holding on to who you used to be. And so you grieve. You let yourself feel the full weight of it. You do not rush it. You do not bypass it. You sit with it. You breathe with it. You let it move through you like a storm, knowing that on the other side of the storm, there is stillness. And in that stillness, you begin to hear it. The voice. Not the voice of ego, not the voice of fear, not the voice of conditioning, but the voice of your true self. The voice that has been whispering to you all along. The voice you have been too afraid to listen to. The voice that knows. It knows what you need. It knows what you want. It knows what is right for you. Even when the world says otherwise, it knows your truth, your purpose, your path. And when you finally stop running, stop resisting, stop arguing, and just listen, everything becomes clear. Not in the sense that you suddenly have all the answers, but in the sense that you no longer need them. You trust. You trust yourself. You trust the process. You trust that you are exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn, becoming exactly who you need to become. This trust is not blind faith. This trust is earned through experience. It is earned by walking to the fire and realizing you did not burn, you were refined. It is earned by sitting in the darkness and realizing you did not disappear, you became visible. It is earned by losing everything and realizing you still had yourself, and that was enough. This trust is the foundation of the new life. The life that is not built on external validation, but internal alignment. The life that is not driven by fear of failure, but curiosity about possibility. The life that is not measured by status or success, but by meaning and integrity. This is the life you have been preparing for. This is the life that was always waiting for you on the other side of your own transformation. But even as you step into this life, even as you begin to embody this new way of being, there is a danger. The danger of spiritual ego. The danger of thinking you have arrived. The danger of believing you are now enlightened, now awakened, now better than those who are still asleep. This is a final trap. This is the shadow of the spiritual path. Because the moment you believe you are chosen, the moment you believe you are special, the moment you believe you are above, you have fallen back into illusion. You have recreated the same separation you were trying to transcend. True awakening is not about elevation. It is about dissolution. It is a dissolving of the boundaries between self and other, between chosen and unchosen, between sacred and mundane. It is a recognition that everything is sacred Everyone is chosen. All of life is a call. And so you must walk carefully. You must stay humble. You must remember that the journey never ends. There's always more to see, more to learn, more to heal, more to integrate. You are not a finished product. You are a living process. You are not a static being. You are a dynamic unfolding. And the moment you forget that, the moment you cling to any identity, any label, any sense of having arrived, you stop growing, you stop evolving, you stop becoming. And the whole point of this journey is to keep becoming, to keep opening, to keep expanding, to keep deepening until the very end. This is the knowledge they have always known. Not they as in some external group, some secret society, some elite few. They as in the sages, the mystics, the artists, the seekers, the ones throughout history who have walked this path. They knew that the meaning of life is not found in the external world, but in the internal one. They knew that the purpose of existence is not to accumulate, but to awaken. They knew that the greatest journey is not across the world, but into the self. They knew that the deepest truth is not spoken in words, but felt in silence. They knew that the real work is not out there, but in here. And now you know it too. You know it not because someone told you, but because you have lived it. You have felt it. You have walked through the fire and emerged transformed. You have descended into the underworld and returned with treasure. You have faced your shadow and integrated your light. You have grieved what was lost and welcomed what is new. You have let go of who you were and stepped into who you are. And in doing so, you have joined the lineage of all those who have ever dared to awaken, who have ever chosen growth over comfort, truth over illusion, love over fear. This lineage does not make you special. It makes you human. Fully, deeply, authentically human. Because this is what humans do. We evolve. We transform. We transcend. Not all of us. Not all at once, but enough. Always enough to keep the light alive, to keep the knowledge alive, to keep the possibility alive that we can be more than we have been, that we can create more than we have created, that we can love more than we have loved. And you are part of that. Not because you were chosen by some external force, but because you chose yourself. You chose to listen. You chose to question. You chose to grow. And that choice, made again and again in 1,000 small moments, in the face of 1,000 fears, is what makes you a participant in the great work of human awakening. There is nothing left to prove. There is nowhere else to go. There is no higher state to achieve. There is only this moment, this breath, this awareness, this presence, this being. And in this being, there is everything. There is peace. There is purpose. There is meaning. Not because you have found some grand cosmic destiny, but because you have found yourself. And in finding yourself, you have found the truth that was always there, the truth that was always waiting, the truth that you are not separate from life. You are life. You are not watching the universe unfold. You are the universe unfolding. You are not seeking love. You are love seeking itself. You are not on a journey to somewhere else. You are the journey itself. And so the question is no longer, why am I different? The question is no longer, what is my purpose? The question is no longer, am I chosen? The question becomes, how will I live? How will I love? How will I serve? How will I use this awareness, this sensitivity, this knowing not to elevate myself, but to contribute to the whole? How will I take this gift of consciousness and give it back to the world, not as a guru, not as a savior, not as someone special, but as a fellow human being who has stumbled to the dark and found a little light and wants to share it, wants to say, here, take this. It might help, it might not, but it is offered freely, with no agenda, no expectation, no need for recognition. This is the final transformation. This is the shift from seeking to serving. This is the movement from what can I get to what can I give. This is the understanding that awakening is not a personal achievement, but a collective responsibility. Because every person who wakes up, who heals, who integrates, who grows, raises the consciousness of the whole. Every person who chooses love over fear, truth over illusion, presence over distraction, contributes to the possibility of a more awakened world, not through preaching, not through proselytizing, not through claiming to have the answers, but simply by being, by living authentically, by speaking truthfully, by acting with integrity, by treating others with compassion, by showing up again and again, even when it is hard, even when no one is watching, even when there is no reward. If this journey has meant something to you, if these words have touched something real, then perhaps this is a conversation worth continuing, not because you need it, but because the path is richer when walked together. Consider staying if it feels right. This is what it means to embody the archetype of the chosen one, not as a literal identity, but as a symbolic recognition of a universal call to consciousness that lives in every human heart. It is a recognition that you are not chosen above others, but chosen alongside them, that your awakening is not separate from their awakening, but connected to it, that your healing contributes to their healing, and their healing contributes to yours, that we are all in this together, all walking each other home, all reflecting back to each other the truth of who we really are beneath the masks, beneath the fear, beneath the conditioning. We are consciousness itself, waking up to itself through itself as itself. And the great irony is that the moment you stop trying to be chosen, the moment you stop seeking specialness, the moment you relax into your ordinary, flawed human existence, you realize you were always whole. You were always enough. You were always home. You were just looking in the wrong direction. You were looking outside when everything you needed was inside. You were looking for validation when you already had truth. You were looking for purpose when you already were purpose. You were looking for love when you already were love. So rest now. Rest in the knowledge that the journey is not about becoming someone you are not. It is about remembering who you have always been. Rest in the understanding that you do not need to earn your worth, prove your value, or justify your existence. You are here. That is enough. You are alive. That is sacred. You are aware. That is the gift. And what you do with that gift, how you live with that awareness, how you walk with that knowing, that is up to you. Not because you are destined, not because you are fated, but because you are free. Free to choose, free to create, free to become. And in that freedom, there is both terror and beauty. Terror because there is no one to blame, no one to save you, no script to follow. Beauty because there is infinite possibility, infinite potential, infinite room to grow. You are not bound by your past. You are not limited by your conditioning. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are a living, breathing, evolving expression of consciousness, and every moment is a new opportunity to choose who you want to be, how you want to show up, what you want to create. This is the knowledge. This is what they have always known. That life is not happening to you. It is happening through you, that you are not a victim of circumstance, but a creator of experience, that the power has always been yours, not to control everything, but to choose how you respond to anything. That awakening is not a destination, but a direction. That growth is not a goal, but a practice. That the journey never ends, and that is not a tragedy. It is a gift, because it means there is always more. More depth, more beauty, more truth, more love, more life. So walk gently, walk humbly, walk with awareness, walk with compassion, walk with the understanding that you are not separate from the world, but woven into it. Walk knowing that your choices matter, your words matter, your presence matters. Not because you are special, but because you are part of the whole, and the whole needs you. Not the you that you pretend to be, the you that you truly are, the messy, complicated, beautiful, broken, healing, growing human you. That is the you the world needs. That is the you that has always been enough. That is the you that was never lost, only hidden. And now you are found.